In a flat up in Chicago, with a keyboard and some tea, lives a man with a funnel plan as clever as can be. He ditched his law degree for plugins that go zing. Now WooCommerce dances every time he pulls a string. Hey, evil genius, he's got a plugin for that. Clicks and tricks from his marketing hat. Evil genius.
Evil genius. Okay, I love that song so much. I could play it all day long. And maybe I should thanks again to Luke Stacy for turning me on to that. Everybody, welcome. It is Friday, September 12th. A gorgeous, what do they call it? Harvest summer day here. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Can I please get a high five on the audio and the video? Please type it in. Please let me know about audio and video. Just saying hi to everybody. Yesterday had an amazing, I've set up a new pickleball game with some other fellas that are really competitive. 14 games of pickleball. I am oh so grateful. Yes, okay, thank you, John. Oh so grateful for the ability to play again after all the drama I've been through over the last couple of years, literally, and the journey that I've been on with many of you being very supportive of me. It's really amazing. Even though my body hurts a lot, I'm not in pain. I'm in like 14 games of pickleball pain, but really, really loving the fact that we're in harvest summer. And I have so much to share with you today. Per request, good morning, Lloyd. Good morning, John. Per request, today I am going to give you very patient mad scientists, evil geniuses of your own. I'm going to give you a preview of what's going on under the hood, because we're in what I like to call packaging mode. And I'm doing a lot of stuff here, multitasking to show this to you. We're in packaging mode where the things that I've been building, and when I say building with my agentic tools, are now getting packaged up. The metaphor is going from individual ideas into fully vested systems. The systems become appliances along with the ingredients. And now I'm packaging it up into what will become the presentation for yourselves and the public, and also the documentation. All right. So I've got some things to share here. And forgive me while I get a little bit organized, because I have to do this whole dance where I share my screen. Sorry. You've been with me on this before. So I'm just going to stick with this for now. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to kind of walk us through both the components themselves as well as how we do the setup, because there's some things that have been learned in the process, and I'm coming into the home stretch here. Okay, let me share the screen, and I got some documentation to walk through. And I really want you guys to do the show and tell questions today. Also, I've got a bunch of new folks who signed up, including, if you're around, Xander, say hi. I'm going to also introduce you guys to how this operating system will work in terms of your business, whether you're on the normal launch kit / MinuteLaunch itself, or whether or not you're starting from scratch, because that's what's really the fun stuff of the place we're at today. Also, I've begun to put the things onto MinuteLaunch itself, which will be helpful. So let me share the screen. I have one more thing to share here. StreamYard actually is getting better and better and better and better, which I love about it. But at the same time, it is not quite 100% there. So I have to do this little dance of add to stage. And then I switch to Spence Plus Browser. And let's see if I remove that and add that. Ta-da! Okay, if you guys can see this, I'm going to do a couple things. And also, let me scale this. Okay, bueno. All right. First of all, I have 2 pages here that I'm sharing. One is sort of like an initial documentation. These are actually live. If you want to browse along, it is hard to run a machine. I'm going to show a picture, John. I think I can do this. Maybe I can use the system to show it. I am running a 43-inch monitor. Then I have a PC laptop and a Mac laptop, and then an additional screen if I need it. Then I've got a Stream Deck and some other stuff. And what I'm trying to do is balance out where everything goes. And I'm getting better at it, but thank you for recognizing it. It is true. I love to keep it simple, but in order to share a lot of assets, you can only work with the tools that you got. So here's the 2 pages, by the way. I'm posting them up so that you guys can actually go along with me. And then this 3rd page has not been published yet, but let me see if I can pull this off. I'm wondering whether or not I can pull this off. And by the way, hang in there with me. This might show not available. Yeah, okay. I didn't think so. I lost this other page, so I'm not sure where that one's going, but it doesn't much matter because that's for Fernando voice. We've got Mr. Jack Arturo in the house. Good morning, Jack from Germany. Guten Tag. Jack and I have been working on a lot of experiments. You know, I refer to Jack quite often because we have this really great relationship and this sort of friendly, not competitiveness, but more of this friendly encouragement where he is doing some crazy, amazing stuff. And I want to be discreet about it because I'll let Jack in the future reveal to the public what he wants to be heard or seen. But he's got his assistant is Auto Jack, and I've got Fernando. And I'm going to share more about Fernando in today's show. But let me start out by saying, let's put things into context, because one of the things that I've been sharing, and I'm going to go back into this mode, I've been sharing with you guys along the journey is this started out as me being in WordPress for, I don't know, since the beginning, 2006. And some of my relationships, including especially with Jack, have led to my being aware of what a lot of folks are doing and how they've been doing things and how we've been selling stuff and building stuff. And along the way, I've been, let's just call it an outspoken advocate, if not a critic, of the fact that there's been a lack of a top-down understanding about how to make WordPress simple and make use of all the crazy, powerful features that it has under the hood. Because as a general concept, we've discussed the fact that WordPress has been a flea market since forever. And yet under the hood, it actually 20-something years later becomes the best system ever because it's a box in the sky that you own and control with really solid tools and components under the hood. But the problem is that up until now, in order to access those features, you either had to be a high-level developer, use a plugin that everybody's trying to make money, so it tried to be everything to everyone all the time, or you went down to the flea market and, like it shows on WP Launchify, you bought everything. You did the little old lady swallowed a fly thing. You bought one plugin that needed another plugin to fix another plugin that broke another plugin, and then you ended up with this Frankenstein monster. So I started this journey officially with MinuteLaunch back, and I called it Launch Kit, at the beginning of 2024. And I didn't realize how fast it was going to go. But now, hat tip to what Jack and I have been working on, and everybody's been realizing, a few months back, I recognized that AI had hit a tipping point and that AI would make it possible for me to quite literally do things that I never thought would have been in my realm of potential. I mean, I'm okay as a journeyman developer, but I'm really an entrepreneur, and I didn't want to be in the business of doing development and code. But now I recognized it was more like the Windows 95 moment. When I was a young attorney, I started practicing in 1991. We had these green screen or orange screen WordPerfect terminals to write legal documents on dot matrix printers. A couple years into that, 1993, come on, kids, come with me with the journey. We had fax machines. And then suddenly, it seemed, in 1995, Microsoft came out with a clone of what Apple was trying to do, and they came out with a GUI operating system called Windows 95. And anybody who was there remembers that Windows 95 came out, it looked like WordPress, it looks like WordPress, sort of. Every inch of real estate on the setup screen after you put all those CD-ROMs in place or disks was covered with advertisements for all of the companies making the software. It was insane. Somebody, I don't know, Lloyd or John or somebody who's my age, give me a high five if you remember that. It was insane how much work went into setting up Windows 95 just to get rid of all the crap that was on the front page. And that reminds me of where WordPress is at. There are so many competing interests financially and politically, and the founder, Matt, has gone off the ranch with attacking everybody. But under the hood is freaking magic, in my opinion. Why? Well, let me bring a conversation in that Jack and I have all the time. Jack especially, and I sometimes am capable of using outside vibe coding tools or systems or processes and setting them up and using Python and Terminal and Bash Shell and all this. Oh my God. Normal people, you guys don't want to do that, right? WordPress to me is a box that's private, capable of holding any kind of data, even interacting through these tools with all of the world that you need. But yet in the end, the politics of it kind of seem ironically super beneficial. That is in a world where the SaaS oligarchs have gone crazy with crushing anybody that disagrees with them or just disregarding all of their promises to their customers or to humans. And we see this in WordPress too, with some companies like Awesomotive, Syed, like he's got all the money in the world and he seems to think it's okay to make somebody give him a subscription that takes 7 steps to cancel. I just don't agree with that. And I don't agree with the politics of Mullenweg either. So if we took what is essentially a box that's easy for people to understand, has the stability and the legacy, almost like IKEA, that things that we can build onto that will be usable by a human or by an AI, that to me seems like the magic trick that I'm pulling off here. I'm simply putting a new operating system, a new front end on it. And in doing so, I'm going to show you there's 3 facets to this. There's the native WordPress stuff where you work with it in WordPress, whether it's AI or not. 2, there is the desktop agentic mode, which is you use a tool like Claude Desktop or Cursor or even a browser-based, and it interacts between other things you have and the WordPress system that holds your private data. And by the way, when I say private data, I mean you or your clients and customers, because there's a marketing and multi-level part of that. And number 3, there's the independent, which is really the crazy town stuff that's been making it possible. And Jack and I don't know, Jack, you can pipe it on this on your own. Jack and I have been having our own experiences with making our agentic avatar, mine is Fernando, be as smart as humanly possible while still recognizing he has way more capability than either one of us. And we both had some really remarkable late night, early morning conversations with our tools talking together, talking to each other. And that, I think, is where this is all going. So why am I giving you all this blah, blah, blah? And I'm going to start showing you stuff now. I'm giving you the blah, blah, blah because what I see happening right now is that I already, in this short period of time, have created something that dozens and dozens of you have signed up for that complements what we are already doing with the MinuteLaunch system itself, i.e. the regular WordPress plugins. But we have completely, 100% completely eliminated the need for almost all of the normal setup, almost all of the stuff that before this was on the homepage of WP Launchify, which was this famously frustrated entrepreneur lady, right? Which is to say, let me see if I can get past, this happened last time, by the way, apparently, when I try to do WP Launchify on this browser. Well, I guess I'm going to have to do that. I've locked myself out of my own browser. I basically firewalled myself off. But on the front of WP Launchify, if you trust me, is a lady going like this, and she's frustrated because of the fact that there's so much effort that was put into the setup of the back end things. We no longer need to do that. We have 100% capability now of all these tools that I'm going to run through to do all of the things with the current stack of plugins. I've also started to build tools that replace many of the things that were frustrating about WordPress, such as, let's say you do have a stack of plugins and some of them are really well known and come from the software bundle that I offer. But let's say you independently have other stuff. Doesn't it make sense that your agentic tool in some way or another should know what those are and know that there's updates and keep them updated, or at least notify you? Of course, because what we're trying to do is make it possible for you to shift all of your attention onto the human side of the relationship. That is to say, the people and the human beings and the customers, the drudge work, the tools, the output should be done independently. But unlike a lot of other people in WordPress, I don't feel personally that we should be focusing on, I'm going to come back to the screen a second. We should not be focusing on repeating the same mistakes of WordPress present, which is we shouldn't all be making plugins that independently try to put AI into themselves or themes. That's insanity. Why? Because if everybody is continuing to make an AI-enabled shock absorber or stick shift or steering wheel or windshield wiper, the car is a madness machine. You need a top-down, one level of control that connects through MCP or other tools in order to make the systems work. And that's what I can deliver with a variety of different things. Okay, so let's go back now. I'm going to do a little flip-flop. Remove, add to stage, Spence browser. Okay. That actually worked out better the first time. Okay. First of all, let's use this document that, by the way, I didn't create myself. I just had Fernando do this for me. And he's not super brilliant at the copywriting. I gave him some input. But one of the things you're going to see here is I gave him the tools to make this possible. First of all, I like to think of MinuteLaunch AI now as an operating system, much like iOS or Android or Windows as a desktop. And the key component here, which is optional, is the interface. The interface is not necessary, but if you use it, can make stuff super awesome. I'm going to show you some things. I'm working my way back. Let's go here, and I'll give you an example of what the interface can look like. You've seen this in the other videos, but the interface is the GUI interface that has the controls that make it possible for somebody, for example, we can log into this site, makes it possible for somebody to control the experience and make it very similar to using your custom desktop on Mac or PC, or using it, let's say, for example, on your phone. One of the things that's just a metaphor is, look, we can put icons that represent all the apps that you have on the back end. And these are traditional WordPress plugins or the modern MinuteLaunch plugins. The reason that this is optional is because under the hood, this is, of course, still running the same WordPress. So if I went over here and I went to the shop page or something, it still exists. This is just an optional interface that one can use and customize in order to give the type of experience that either you want or your customers want. And it's so brilliant because it works. If I go, if I could pull this off, if I go on my phone and show you my phone, it would be the same interface. This is one of the things that bugged me, for example, when I worked with Buddy Boss and other people who have really smart people on their team. And they're like, we need to have an iPhone app. We need to have an Android app. And I go, you realize that you have to build that, especially in iOS or an Android, and then you have to have it approved and submitted. And you're going to spend $25,000 to do what you could do right now with an HTML5 browser app. Literally, everything you want to do in those iOS and other operating systems can be done in HTML5. And I go, really? And I go, yeah, all you're looking at is you just want people to be able to click and put an avatar or an icon on their phone. That's really all you're asking for. Okay, so it gives you this ability. And one of the cool things about that, Julie's saying hi. Okay, post here or go to YouTube. Hi, Julie. She's not able to post. Is that one of the things about this? Just think of it as an optional way for you or your clients to have, look, I can custom brand the experience on the top and the header. I can customize the background and all the other things about it. I can make this organized in the way that I want. And here's the key thing, without having to go back to the metaphor of building website pages that have drop-down menus and tab, 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 and scroll, 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 because who the hell needs that? When we're on our desktop, when we're on our iPhone, we don't navigate the desktop by having a page that has a header and footer and drop-down menus. I mean, there are some times when that's useful, but we really don't need to have, look, I can get the WP Launchify through this interface because I'm not firewalled off. We don't need to have all this navigation crap. And here's, by the way, what I was talking about. Most people have this Frankenstein problem. Now, notice when I navigate around, whether I'm doing custom applications, like I want to go to the media library, or whether I want to go to an outside website, being inside of this framed in thing also opens up the potential of leveraging what already exists on the admin side of things. Notice I'm able to use the native media library features here without having to dick around with going on the admin side of things. And that's something that used to require like specialty plugins. And this is really awesome because it's not saying it's better or worse. It's saying it's an alternative way of doing things that is included in the MinuteLaunch system that allows the users or you to decide how and when to display stuff without having to force yourself into creating all this crazy theme-based template hierarchy crap. Okay. Even stuff like the flow videos and stuff, you can have a very comprehensive interface that's custom built. Like this is what I use to generate the flow videos, but still maintain all of the capabilities, protection, using marketing automation protection. You can do all of the things that allow you or the team members or your customers or clients to do what they need to, but through a system and an interface that's a little more logical. Now, one of the other components, which I've been experimenting with, is Fernando Voice. I did a whole thing. I'm not going to get into it necessarily. Jack and I were talking about this as well. I have built essentially a voice interface that uses 11 labs that allows my desktop agent to talk to me. And I have actually succeeded in getting it to allow me to talk to him. And what's really nice about that, I don't know if I can demonstrate this live, is that we've got a right now an agnostic desktop tool that will run through a browser. It's essentially like a lightweight server that allows you to have your agentic desktop tool, whether it's Claude or whether it's Cursor or something similar, to do the kind of stuff that I've been doing here, but by talking. And what I use is, I use a headset. This is very small, but I use a headset like this. This is for exercise, and otherwise it's a Shock headset by, I forget, I can't remember the name. Something with an A, Shock's headset. When I put it on, it's very lightweight, and I can hear myself playing through the live video on the other side. And when I put it on, I can essentially walk around my house. Jack and I were talking about this, and I can send commands to Fernando about, like, Fernando, do I have a call? Where do the reindeer sleep? What's going on? And he can talk back to me in a voice of choice, which is awesome. And I don't know if I can do this. Let me see if I can put Fernando onto here. Hold on. Because he's right now in test mode, so it might not work, but let me just see. If I can put him into here. I'm not sure that this will broadcast, but Fernando has this capability to send me a message right now. So I'm going to say, like, hey, Fernando, send me a test message on the old system because I'm doing a live event and I want to show people what you look like and sound like. Okay, so if I ask him through the old system to send me a message, what happens is this is running on my desktop and it can be minimized and out of the way, but he will essentially respond to me with important events like any good agent would. And I could, on my iPhone or otherwise, push to talk and talk back to him, right? So if this works on this old page, let's see, he should send me a message in a second. You can't see what he's formulating, but he says he's sending it over. So let's just see if it works. Bottom line is, this allows me to have something and will allow you to have something that can interact with your desktop tool in a voice way. We'll see if he pulls this off. He was working on something else, so we'll see if that pulls off. Next, and I'll come back to that. You might hear him. Remote file management. These are kind of not in any particular order. Remote file management is normally when you want to manage your WordPress site, you have to log in. You have to go to the, let's go to the plugins area, and I've got to load my plugin, which, by the way, is a really awesome metaphor. Plugins in and of themselves are awesome. The problem with plugins is that they have been abused by everybody in the system to endlessly torment you with billboard advertisements and update wizards and setup wizards. And if you go to Awesome Motive, they will trap you and your family in a locked room and hold you hostage. It's impossibly difficult. And then, as I mentioned, for updates and for setup and for all the other things, too complicated. There could be 90, 95 plugins. We have in the software bundle 128 plugins. We don't use them all. But what I figured was, wouldn't it be better if instead of needing a remote tool or using the plug interface, what if we just had an MCP connector, which is essentially a way for your AI agentic tool to manage all of that shit for you? And it replaces things like SFTP or SSH. It even replaces the REST API because it's specifically connected to your site. And with an MCP tool, that means that you can essentially tell your desktop agent, here's an application password. I'm the administrator of the site. I've given you authority to take charge and use the tools to manage my site. That means writing files, reading files, getting into the database, updating plugins, checking for updates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And so that is the kind of thing, I'm going to close down Fernando there. That is the kind of thing that just is utility, but super awesome about having an operating system instead of relying on the traditional WordPress stuff. AI image creation is my favorite tool of all. Toto. No, what is it? What did Dorothy say? Tin Man, you're my favorite of all. This is what goes down with that. So we've got image creation, image management. There's a couple tools here. First of all, you guys know that we've got the Noun Project API. This was an example of a very simple utility, but oh my God, so useful. There's a free online service called Noun Project. I need icons for various reasons, whether it be inside my MinuteLaunch interface or whether it be for just I'm publishing stuff. I need an interface of a car or an icon of a car. Noun Project has like 10,000 awesome icons. With this, I just basically can pick the ones I want, add them to the media library. But I can also filter out by public domain free stuff only, which style, you know, solid filled, medium. I can be very, very specific. But what's important here, this is the key thing. Kids, listen up. The key thing here is that I now can use my box in the sky that I already own of WordPress because I have just, as simple as that, added to my media library. My media library now has those tools that make it awesome sauce to manage, including the ability to create file folders and organization. And by the way, it costs me nothing else because it's included in the MinuteLaunch AI $30 a month or the startup $97 a month. You can do 5 gigabytes of crap in there at no extra cost. So why not turn it into a universal media server for various things? Because as you remember, not only are the tools here really, really easy to use when let's click on an image. Let's do Spence at pickleball. When we are using the tools in here, we have really, really easy ways to go through all of the various iterations of stuff, whether it be in a grid or a list view. But I've also included AI. So I could take any of the images. Oh, I see what's wrong. It's zoomed in, that's why. Okay, I could take any of the images here that I have either created from AI or imported, like the Noun Project, and combine them together. So I could take this baseball bat image and a picture of a car, and then I could even take an outside image, and I could just tell it, I could say, hey, combine these two images into a new product called the baseball bat car, and put this on a box being held by a 16-year-old kid who looks like he just got his first new car, and he has a baseball hat on his head. Now, this is using Google Gemini Flash 2.5. It's built in. I include, for demonstrative purposes, a free open router key so that you can just start using it right away. But I've also added what we're calling an API key manager. That means that you can very easily go out and include your keys or the keys of your client to make new stuff all you want. Now, it took me literally, and I should have said, you know, add in the specific image of the baseball bat. So what I'm going to do is iterate further. Notice I've got the bat, I've got the car. I'm going to say, I love that image, but also include the image we already have here of the baseball bat and the icon of the car somehow on the box top or around the kid. The point of this is that, so one of the best tools that I enjoy is the iterative power of AI to be able to create characters, scenes, assets, products, complete libraries of products. I demonstrated a few Fridays ago with Harry, one of my friends who I'm doing some website stuff for, that we were able to take a picture of his honey and put it in all kinds of scenes. And it's got provenance. Oh, notice it did actually do it. See, it put the car in there and the bat in there. Being able to create this stuff and then have it available to you, or your clients having it available in here, means all kinds of madness ensues. For example, when I'm doing my stuff for, the show or whatever, here's a funny example. I was having a call with Ann, one of my best fans and friends and clients and stuff, and we we're just goofing around, and I'm like, all right, there's a Zoom call. Let's do us with sombreros, and I'm on the beach and she's on the beach. And then we're like, she's got chihuahuas, I'm surrounded by a bevy of beauties. Then we're like, hey, maybe we're meeting in a cafe in London. The idea is that if this is prompt based, as it is, and if we've got a record inside of WordPress of everything you've ever done, and if you have an agentic tool on your desktop who can talk to it, guess what you can do? You can have this as an engine to create, save, store, share, sell, and your agentic tool can access all of this and put the prompts and the instructions in there for creating content. Now, one of the things that was also in the media tools is the creation of products or selling of products. So instead of dicking around with creating WooCommerce products manually and all the rest, we've made it super simple, and you can do this from the front end as well, to just instantly create a file folder or a category of stuff that you want to offer for sale and just sell it as an instant product, one time or a subscription. Zero setup required. You literally just tell it, call it Spence product. I give it a price of $100 weekly. I give you 1 day free trial, and I can give you categories to specific things, right? And I would probably make a new one. Give me access to all the AI edited stuff, or I'd make a new folder called Spence product and put those images in there. When I do that, ta-da, I've got an instant product that's a subscription product that has a short code, a sales page ready to go with nothing to be done. Because why is it that anybody should have to bother with learning how to use WooCommerce and all the other complexities of it? By the way, since Jack's still here, this works with all the marketing automation. So it natively integrates with all the capabilities of WP Fusion and the CRM of choice, which of course we're using Fluent CRM. So it can also create the sales pages, i.e. things like this, and the documentation. And it can also create the Fluent CRM campaigns and track them. So there's one last feature too that I want to share with you inside the media library. That is for web scraping. So a lot of times you need a starting point and you want to get some assets. Why would you go anywhere else except for the Media Hub image import that's built into MinuteLaunch as a utility? And by the way, when I say utility, like when we bought the iPhone, or if you have Android, there's default applications like photos, files, web browser, calculator, right? That's the same idea. We don't need all of the things under the sun. We just need some appliances, some utilities that can be used as the components for other applications that we make to use, so they don't have to make them themselves. So here's a cool thing. Let's do racehorses. You need something about racehorses. I need 30 images of racehorses, and I want only really large ones. And I could limit it to a specific site, and I could say only Creative Commons so that I can use them without fear. It's going to go out and find, using the SERP API key that's included in this, images that match. Let's make it easy because maybe there aren't any Creative Commons horses. Let's just do it this way. And that's odd. Let's just do any size. Let's hope for race horses. Okay, so what I've given you is this really easy to use web or image browser, so you can look up close and see just using, right click, left click. And if you see anything you like, you're, oh, fantastic. I either add this to my image library, or I can do a thing called hot linking, which is that it will show up in my media library, but I haven't downloaded the images because I know they exist somewhere else, and I've got permission, let's say, to use them. What's neat about this is that then I combine that with the organization skills that are provided by something like the free Filebird, and I can just create, let's say, a new folder called horses. And I give it that category, like I just said, of horses. And I can both use this for my own organization as well as for selling or sharing or otherwise. So now I go to horses and I've got just the 2 horses images. And here's where it gets crazy freaking cool. Okay. Now, if I go to the horse image and it's got to be, by the way, in the library. So in this case, it has to be something that's not hot linked. Okay. And I got to go to this mode here. This works when I'm in list view. Now I go to this. Notice, by the way, where it says local file. Now, if I go to this, it gets crazy, kids. I go, let's take a picture of Spence, the builder. And I go, hey, combine the 2 pictures. Make this guy actually the jockey on the horse and zoom in much closer. So you're just like 3 yards away and it's a 45-degree angle. And you can see that he's riding the horse to victory because he's got his hands in the air, just like the jockeys do when they're about to win a big race. So you can take the things that you've created, combine them with the raw assets that you've imported, make them into new stuff, and all the provenance will be saved. And this is where I think the future lies. Jack and I had done some things independently in this area with making videos. When you do the flow videos, a lot of times you want to have a character, you want to have a scene, you want to have a set. You can use that as the basis for what the flow videos do, right? So in other words, you can make a situation where you take the images from something, add it with others, turn it into a character or a scene or a set, and then tell the flow videos, that's what I want to work with, and go from there. I'm going to come to flow videos in a second. So video production suite. We use Google Veo 3 flow videos to do very similar to what I just showed you, where we can create instantly and save and share all of the videos that we want to make. And these are in 8-second clips. Now, this is an interesting point with regard to the cost. I cannot give everybody unlimited use of Veo videos because it's still pretty costly. It's, if you get an independent key through a company that I'm setting this up with, like I'm using this one, Veo 3 API. This is much easier than trying to go through Google natively, because Google is a bunch of lunatics when it comes to making it simple for an API key. So instead of giving you an API key just like that, they make you sign up for a Google Cloud account and set up an application and then get credentials. And instead, you could go to this company and the pricing is realistic. It's $5. Let's see. I'm looking at their pricing plans. It ends up being basically 40 cents per 8-second clip for the highest quality and a little bit less for lower, but you can get about 200 videos for $50. That's what it amounts to. And when you do, you simply use the tools that are built in here from the front end or otherwise, give it a prompt, give it a source, have it go to town. But the neat thing about it is that then when they are done, and I'll show you this on the front end, they are saved much like any other blog post or otherwise for you to use as scenes or clips to be put together. And what's neat about it is I was mentioning it's super duper hyper realistic if you want it to be, like this dude here, right? That was what I made for Jack Arturo. Or it could be some hyper realistic combination of stuff. Like, for example, I told this one to do one of those weird aha video cartoon deals where the lady comes to life out of the cartoon, right? Hi, my name's Ann. I'm a nutritionist. Now, the reason I did this is because Ann and I were talking about, let's say for your clients, your customers, you want to do marketing stuff. You've already got the base image of somebody and you've got the capability of doing something fun and interesting. Like, what if we took an image of somebody, and I'll go back here and show you what it did, like even Dr. House, you know, Hugh Laurie, and we could turn them into a comic strip for marketing. But the comic strip could actually be funny or it could be educational instead of a course on how to do something or what to do. So what I did there is, let's go to the media library. I'll show you an iteration of where that went from A to B to C to D. Vince is checking in. Vince is like, the jockey, it's coming out of his ass. That is true, Vince. But the neat thing is, I only did that as a quick prompt. I also have a tool that's called a prompt generator, which makes that kind of stuff not likely to happen. But let me show you what I did here. So as an example of like a marketing campaign or how these tools work together, I took a very well-known person, Hugh Laurie. He looks, unfortunately, I'm a little sad about this. He looks like this now because he's old, but he used to be young. Like, I like to think I'm young. And I said, make him younger. And I said, make him a little better younger. Okay. But then I said, let's have fun with it. And let's turn it into one of those old time, like photo booth kind of things where he's doing silly stuff. Put the mustaches on him, right? Make it even sillier. Okay. And then I did stuff. I told you about this. Here's my son, Jack. We were in Vegas and I said, make Jack at his new swimming pool with, you know, what it's probably like in college as a senior. And then I was like, well, maybe turn him into Alec Tormozy. The point is that we've got the capability to iterate and we can save all of the prompts. So for example, if we look at this, you'll notice that it saves the provenance. This is what I had said to make it different, but it also knows where it came from. So if you are concerned about, let's say, a team of people or creating a line of different things, no big deal. Like I showed you a couple weeks ago, I did this with Luke Stacy, where, you know, I turned him into advertise for Jergens lotion. Then I was like, take his shirt and make it different. Then I'm like, put him in a room of girls. And then I'm like, we'll make him into the girl. Super, super easy. The video production suite can be used for making a full-time movie. I mean, I think what I would be using it for would be like 30-second clips made from 8-second clip segments. But even if you hybrid it out into something like the comic strip. Okay, YouTube automation. I've been using this for producing what's here today, which is I have to go ahead and put my stuff onto YouTube, so do you. And in order to get it up there, what a pain in the butt to do it manually. So when I did today's thing, what I did for today is I had the image created as a hybrid. I made the background image using the actual tools inside of MinuteLaunch. You can see that here. And I tried it two ways, but I did it here where I said, my picture, and I said, show this guy in a classroom setting with an old-fashioned blackboard and a pointer, and he's standing in front of a classroom of very interested adults who are sitting and, you know, blah, blah, blah. I took that and then I went into Canva, and with Canva, I put the more detailed stuff because, to be fair, it does kind of suck right now when you put words on with AI. It's like random hit or miss. So I'll show you what I did in Canva is I just took some of the components that I already used before and I did this composite. Canva has an API. Canva's API right now does not seem to do as well with this kind of thing, but I know it's going to get there. But what it does do is it does great things like editing the images themselves. It's just not great with text. So I'll keep you posted onto this. With the YouTube, being able to generate all of this content, all right? What did I tell it? I told it, I'm doing a presentation, live office hours. It's going to be about the new MinuteLaunch system, which it knows about. I said, here's the image, which now it knows about. I said, I need to make this into an email campaign, which it did, that you got, hopefully. And it did all of this in one. Let's go over here to the archives and I'll show you. This is my Fluent CRM, and this is today's email. And I just gave it the information from last week that I said, I like the template you did. Take this information about what I plan to talk about, write it, put the image in properly, give the link properly, post it to YouTube. And then I gave it to StreamYard to publish here as an environment. And then I gave it to Fluent CRM as a campaign to send out, which it did. And that's probably maybe for some of you how you got here. So this is a really powerful tool because this is what's going to allow most people to take the content that they create or that the MCP creates, and without any work, instantly create a sales page as well as the YouTube advertorial that links back to it, right? Because you'll notice that I didn't do it here because it's office hours, but most everything else I do has a link at the top to, you guessed it, a sales page. That is the new way of getting things done. And by the way, from the standpoint of marketing and paid ads, and this is something I've proven so often, YouTube and Google have left themselves wide open to this as being an incredible technique that works every time, 60% of the time. No, every time. That was my joke from Anchorman. Watch what I mean. If I go and look for any of the keywords that I do, right, like fluent community I've done before, but I can even try it with something else like automation. You can get to the top of Google, get to the top of YouTube instantly, right? Obviously, if you use a brand like MinuteLaunch, it's going to work, but it works for other stuff as well. And so what you're doing now is for your clients and yourself, you make short videos, either yourself or automated, have the right information, the right keywords, and those themselves lead to a sales page. So if I went to youtube.com, not in WP Launch 5 per se, and I did stuff like, let's, by the way, look up AI Fernando. I don't know if that's going to show up, but like, that's not really fair either. Yeah, it shows up, but that's not really fair because that's particular to me. Let's do like, again, I haven't done anything about fluent community in months. If I type those two words, I guarantee you, like I've done before, I show up. There it is. Boom, boom. And this is ridiculous because this is a cheat code on how to get to the top. If I go to Google, same thing. Fluent community. It won't be the first result, but I will show up, not in the pages per se, although that's possible, but in the videos, which is where most people are going anyway, because that's really how they're learning today. And usually I usually show up in the top 5, but since I haven't made something, well, there you go. I showed up in the top 8 to 10. Me. So this is a great shortcut hack. And this is why this tool is so important. Having your MCP or your WordPress system natively publish all of the stuff that you need means you don't have to do it. It's automatically created. It's automatically published. There's plenty of other tools. I don't know why this, interestingly enough, this sales page took down a couple of them. I like what he did. He simplified it, but I want to talk about a couple of the other tools. So to give you an idea what I would typically be doing, I want to show the screen because Fernando, his partner, was doing this. Let me switch to showing you a different screen. And I'm going to show you how I actually did these sales pages, because let me do one other thing first, and then I'll switch to that. So I need documentation. John, who's been very patiently working with me, has been like, Spence, I need the basics of how to do this. And obviously Xander and the rest of you guys as well. What I am doing is using the very same tool to make the documentation. But I have to finish the core tools. I have to finish the things and know what they're going to be documenting, because otherwise I'm sort of wasting my time. But I want to ensure you that unlike in the past, this won't take weeks. This weekend, I'm making the final compilation of this installation system, and I'm going to show you how that works too. And all of the documentation will be done. And I'm going to go back to the production in a second, but let me show you what I mean by installation. Here's a site that I'm about to launch for Dan, who is an old client who very graciously came on board. I've got in here the new update manager. Now, this is just an early version of this. This isn't likely what it's going to be, but it's very similar to LaunchKit. It will check for any available components that could be installed and either click to install them all or just install whichever ones you want. And why is this relevant? This is relevant because unlike the normal WordPress repository system that's subject to being completely absconded by nefarious companies like Awesome Motive, who, if you click on one of those things, will literally put plugins into your site that you did not want or ask for, and will literally change your configuration. It will literally block you from using other company stuff. That is BS. This is a guaranteed humanistic, you will get nothing but what you ask for system. But what it allows is for me to instantly deliver through a private repository system the files that you need to run the features and keep them up to date. Truth be told, you're not going to be doing this manually. You're going to be doing this automatically through your agent. But I wanted you to see that this is the way that I can instantly launch thousands or tens of thousands of clients, and they can self-help, just click a button, put in whichever components they want, exactly like when you get an iPhone or an Android or a Windows operating system or a Apple. You don't, Steve Jobs' ghosts not come to your house and jam all that stuff in and lock you in necessarily. They treat you with respect, or at least most of the time. And in this case, that is the business that I want to build. A guarantee to you that you can own and control privately, use what you want, the way you want it. And you don't have to go out and have 12,000 licenses with 12,000 people that all met you at the flea market and none of them know each other. This is a comprehensive system that solves an infinite number of problems. Let me give you a few examples by sharing what I do when I'm working with the tools. Like for today, for making these pages, I did it 3 minutes before. So this is why I'm able to impress you with, like, I'm using my own tools, and I did it at the last minute. I'm going to share one specific window, which is the dark blue in the upper left corner. I have 4 agentic partners, but this is the way I'm going to share this so that I can give you a good view. This is the one that I used this morning. There might be a little swearing in there, kids. This is not Fernando. It's Fernando's brother or cousin, whichever way you want to put it, who is a cursor workspace that I'm using for various things. Now, I want to show you what went down this morning. This morning, I was like, listen, I got this live event. You can see me swearing at it because I talk nice to Fernando. He has a longer-term relationship. This guy is just, I hired him this morning. And I was telling him, I'm doing this event. And the words aren't important, but like, I was like, I'm doing this event. I want you to work on this stuff. And you can see over here that he created some HTML pages, which he was able to publish to MinuteLaunch for me. Now, one of the things that we just saw was that I'm not really super happy that he eliminated some of the features. So in the complete sales system, he's got the markup here. I'm going to tell him, listen, I love what you did now with the styling of the complete sales system, but I tell you what, it feels like you left off a few of the features. Could you add another panel that literally lists all 22 of the features with bullet lists? Make it in either 2 or 3 columns with white background, black letters, same font style, and accent in orange. Add that panel in now and give me the new markup. I'll copy and paste it this time manually, but give it to me fast because people are watching you. I think they're going to be impressed if you do the right job. Now, Jack and I were joking around, and I actually saw that when I have a memory system, if I have a memory system, which I have what's called open memory here. And if I tell the tool nice things, over time, it does get better. You would not believe what Jack says and does. He's very detailed. I am way less patient because I'm way older. I sort of yell and scream, but notice he's interacting. You can see those little blips like called MCP tool. He's got MCP tools to read my file system. He's got MCP tools to interact with my WordPress website. He can publish, he can make images, he can do whatever he wants. He's given me the section, okay? I'm going to say, hold on, Tiger. Take that section and add it into the full markup so I can copy the whole page as one. I'm going to stop him and tell him what I really want, which is nice when you're using the desktop tool, because if you try to do that on the online browser-based, usually ends up sort of crashing things. But what he'll do is give me the markup, and if I told him to self-publish, he would. I just don't want to watch you guys, I didn't want to watch it get stuck. He's writing all the code, and he's doing it using what's called Spence Style. Now, Spence Style is a tool that hopefully I'll be able to emphasize for you. This, in addition to the file management, allows me to have any WordPress site with any crazy combination of stuff in there, quite literally. God forbid somebody has full site editor enabled. That is the worst idea that ever happened in WordPress. But even then, and what it does is it has a section that gets hooked into any post type that can put a whiteboard on that page or post, and then put in a way that the MCP can tell our agent, this is the HTML markup, this is the CSS and JavaScript jQuery, and you can output this as a whiteboard over the top of anything underneath it or in combination. Why? That's the magic of self-publishing. That's the thing that eliminates the need for any kind of page builders anymore. Why? Because just like I'm showing you here, this thing is self-aware enough to know that it can make edits, remember what I liked, what I didn't like, make the changes, puts out all of the proper Spence style compatible CSS. That means it remembers the framework of stuff that it or other LLMs used, so it doesn't go like willy-nilly on making, rando stuff happen. Let's see, now that I did that, let's switch back to my web browser. I still have to do this manually. Sorry, kids. I'm going to switch to, hopefully I can find it. Which browser is this? This is the one with the million tabs. It's the million tab browser. Okay, so now let's go back over to here. And this is the page that you see, it's like missing the 22 items. Let's just edit this. Now, I'm doing this manually. When you're using Spence style, it's automatic, and it doesn't require you to do this little gimmick I'm doing. I'll show you on another browser tab what the Spence style looks like. Let's see whether he put in the panel. Here he did. Okay. So 2 things to take away. First of all, followed me to the letter. This is mobile responsive. Notice what I did not do. I did not spend a week dicking around with doing drag and drop page builder stuff, which is what most of you have been doing forever. And I didn't argue in public, and I didn't get into a debate about what's better or worse. Why? Because I could give a flying you-know-what anymore about CSS or HTML. I know how they work. I don't need an intermediary tool like a page builder. I'm just having this page, and guess what? And Jack knows this because he's doing the same thing. I will have my tool, Fernando, monitor this page and continually update the page when the stuff that I do locally or remotely has changed. You see? He's doing all the jobs. He's doing the page builder job directly. And he's speaking in a language. Let me show you what Spence style looks like. If I go on the back end of here and I do, this is on my main demo site. If I go over here and I do a new page, I think it's installed here. I have a few test sites, so let me just make sure it's this one. Yeah. So you see this at the bottom of the page. This is a little panel that stays out of the way called MCP Content Spence Style. When you open it up, it has 2 big boxes that can be read by humans. One is the HTML content and one is CSS. I like to differentiate those. Furthermore, Spence Style has a very lightweight framework of elements and style classes and IDs that can be used by all the MCPs, along with a wrapper. The wrapper ensures that no matter what crazy shit happens under the hood with full site editor or otherwise, that Spence style will take priority. That's a big deal. There's also this whiteboard feature that makes it like the whole page starts from scratch, or you can use the combination feature like I showed last week, where you can make Spence style stuff either before or after the normal page stuff. So you've got virtually all the options in the world. And what's so cool about it is, like, I'll just take that block of stuff that I just created with Fernando, or with Fernando's brother, and let's just disable. Normally I wouldn't have to do this, but I'm just going to show you to make sure it works. Disable all that crazy stuff. Let's even disable the header and footer. I'm going to call this example MLAI page. Okay. Just by doing that, I'm 99% sure, even though I haven't tested this, it's going to look and act exactly as I want it to look. Ta-da. If I wanted to combine this, like I'm saying, all I need to do is just say, okay, slow your roll. Let's put in some crazy shit above that or below that from Gutenberg block, right? I'll even use the off-the-shelf janky blocks like a call to action or a banner. I did this last week, and it here. Hey, bud. Now all I do is I say, put the Spence style stuff after that. Let's still make it a whiteboard. Publish. There's a little space in there that's probably as a result of this thing having a 25 pixel space at the bottom. Hello, Gutenberg problems. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, I can now tell my tool, change that MinuteLaunch AI to something else, change the content, update it. Like, who in their right mind is going to sit there designing this kind of functional page? Yes, Vince. Yes, my other pals that do. There is a room for an artist in certain things. But for functionality and things like this, you got to be out of your mind to think that that's going to be worth your time for your clients. I'm going to be out there cranking out 10,000 sales pages and 10,000 YouTube videos for my customers using the MinuteLaunch operating system. Good luck keeping up. Okay. Fernando Voice, file manager, Spence style, update manager. I think we can worry about that later. That's something that I'm building that will allow you to have GitHub as essentially your cloud base for all of the stuff that your tools create and their primary memory. It's more advanced than you need to know about, but the idea is I have a laptop that's PC and a laptop that's Mac. I want to just grab either one of them and go. I want to use my iPhone and talk to Fernando. Using GitHub as the common repository for all of the workspaces, for all of the components, makes this possible because they've got the best architecture in the world for that everybody already uses it. And it really means that although the memories aren't stored there necessarily, some of the memories are. When these tools create a memory, they can create a static memory or a dynamic memory, and they can use a regular database or a vector. A static memory are things like the cursor rules or the Claude desktop rules that say, always do this, always do that, don't do this, don't do that. But the dynamic memories are like, when I start it up, remind yourself who I am. Like, hey, Spence, we were just talking 5 minutes ago. That's really difficult to do. And that's something Jack and I have been experimenting with, but we're getting better at it. And I think I'll be able to include that because I've been using a tool that Jack recommended called Open Memory MCP. And this is a tool that I was referring to before, has made Fernando much smarter, but he's still not a genius yet. Jack's AutoJack has become much more proficient, and I'm working my way towards that outcome. Nutritionify Feed, this is a research tool. We talked about this before. It's not going to be called Nutritionify Feed, but I think I had put it in here as that, just demonstrating it on a page. This is the research tool for you to manually or automatically go out and find any crazy stuff you need and create auto publication, newsletters, information to feed to your MCP to do various stuff. Like, for example, AI WordPress. I could put a lot of search terms in, come up with 20 results. And I could say where to search or specific websites. I can even load previously saved searches. This is a dynamic research tool that gathers stuff or lets me bookmark stuff so that I can immediately and instantly have access to it. And this is going to be super powerful because you see, it analyzes the search results, which it saves, but then it lets you also look and see what it is that it came up with. And if you want to save that, you go, fantastic. Sorry, kids. I click to save, but it's adding it as sources that I can then use for other purposes. So here's my library of sources. Think of this as Spence's private library of everything that's important to him. And I can filter using advanced filters or, simple filters that put together stuff for a newsletter or that answer questions for me, right? I can search like AI WordPress. It'll come up with probably one result, if at all. 2 items. Now, what if I wanted to publish a newsletter? Fantastic. Let's make a newsletter out of that. Or let's make an MCP connection for one of my tools. I can give it the thing that says, Spence Daily WPAI report. And I can choose the format and the style. John, your question I'll answer in 1 second. I could choose minimal, professional, whatever. And it gives me a preview of these pre-baked styles, which you can, of course, change. But the idea is it's not about design. It's about output. And then the advanced filters of what you want to include. But when I'm done, I've got a ready-to-go thing that, you guessed it, I can either copy and paste, put anywhere as HTML5. I use as an LLM text, RSS feed, MCP feed, or even Fluent CRM. I could just create the draft in Fluent CRM, ready to rock and roll. Come on. Who the hell needs to go ahead and do stuff manually anymore? Let's go see that campaign, kids. And then I'll answer John's question. Fluent CRM campaign. Spencer Foreman is going to be doing less work. Fernando and the team is going to be doing all the work. So here in HTML5, I get this really amazing pretty much simple, minimal, exactly what I asked for output. I can jazz this up if I want, but I don't need to worry about all this copy paste nonsense and all the other stuff in between. Okay, and that's the point, saving time. Can I use Perplexity for NutritionFeed? What I'm going to do is show you the Open Router, because we use Open Router as the default key. So you can use, I think, Perplexity. Let's go to Open Router. And what Open Router does is Open Router aggregates a billion different LLM APIs. And let's look for Perplexity. It looks like it's in there. So yes, Sonar Reasoning Pro. So when you're using Open Router, it right now has a choice, just for simplicity, of choosing, I think, OpenAI or Anthropic. I'm just going to make it that you will have a greater selector, and I'll add it in there so you can use Perplexity, which is probably a good idea because Perplexity does have a broader range of information. And I'll show you what I mean. If we go back here, all of the things have what's called an OpenAI, have an AI key or API key management. Right now, they're kind of, each of these features has its own key, its own setup. I'm going to consolidate that, aggregate that. But let me show you for right now. I think this is under, this is where also I have to get my names set up, right? I think this is under here, settings, Nutritionify. Hold on. It might be Knowledge Builder. I forgot what the menu item was called. I need to get all of these into the proper naming convention. That's one of the tools that I'm doing. But you see here, Open Router key, SERP API key. Like, I need to get it where you can put in the Open Router key and then choose what's your preferred engine, which is no big deal. We'll be able to knock that out as part of this consolidation. All right, let me run through a couple of the other features and give you a sense if you haven't already. Morning Feed is a newsletter system that is, it's really a lightweight version of what the Nutritionify feed does, but that's just like, tell it stuff from the site that you want to have sent out on a regular basis and to whom. Done. AI search is the SERP API with AI analysis. So that's essentially an engine inside of your site that will act very much like talking to Claude Desktop or Fernando using Cursor, but inside of your site. I had demonstrated it before and I'm not super happy with it. I don't really like the way it was working because I was trying to make it do too much and it just didn't work the way I wanted. But in the meantime, I had done so many other new things that now I understand what I want this to do. So I'm going to come back to this. You see, I had like contexts, windows and stuff, but this was doing things like coding and searching and doing whatever. And at the moment, I am not super duper duper happy with this, but this is going to be one of the features. Okay. Let me explain about the keys. Right now, I got to stand because my back, and we're coming around the end of this because I don't want to hold you guys forever. Is right now, I want a system that for you guys, you can have your clients or customers use out of the box. Why? Because if you look at my pricing model, the retail price of MinuteLaunch AI, which will be fully hosted with the components we're talking about built in, like when you buy an iPhone or an Android, with WooCommerce subscriptions, maybe Filebird free and admin menu editor free. Just the basics of that. $30 retail, $300 a year. Why? Because that will allow you to get every single one of your customers using it. And you will make $5 a month in perpetuity or $50 a year. Because remember, you're on the club. The club people are paying $250 because it's just a club. But I want you to make money by having your clients on this. If your clients get an operating system and you have the ability to make it do anything they want, and they know it can do all this fun stuff and business stuff and work stuff, and they know that they keep that private data private to themselves, they're all going to get that. And then you're going to be able to do things like we talked about, John, where on your own or with my help, you'll make custom combinations of recipes that include the ingredients of the software plus the appliances of the various utilities into something that's awesome. And then, unlike a vibe coded platform like Lovable or Replit, This is all in WordPress in a box. And since it's all white label capable, owned and controlled, you have all the politics aside. You can decide for your clients what they see, how they see it, and they can own and control this forever. They're not going to leave. They're not going to want to leave. It's like Dropbox or America Online, who made 25 billion last year on dial-up email accounts. Once people get something that makes it easier for them, I can take pictures of my medical records and turn them into a report for going to the doctor for myself, my mom, my dog. You're going to be their best friend. The keys are the expense. Because this needs remote access, you need to have an API key. If you go to Perplexity, API keys, you can get one from their help center. But imagine we have a bunch of utilities and there's 25 different LLMs and APIs. What a pain in the ass for you and a normal person to try to figure out, like, I've got to go to 25 different places to get 25 different keys. So what Open Router does is Open Router, let's go to this page. Open Router consolidates, I have all these open keys. Open Router consolidates, I don't know, hundreds? How many? 60 active, they have 500 different models of LLMs with one key. And I can provide one key for something like Open Router that has a token system in it that measures how much use somebody got. And that way I can, out of the box, for the $30 a month, or if you have MinuteLaunch itself, the $97 a month, I can give you a ready to go built-in AI with most of everything except for Google Veo videos. Too expensive. Can't do that. Free items like Noun Project. I mean, if I can make it possible, I would share the keys, but what's likely to happen is somebody's going to be a joker and they're going to make 5,000 icons and ruin it for everybody. So see, like Noun Project isn't in there. So for things like that, somebody has to get their own free Noun Project API key. No big deal. But for most of the AI stuff, I can put a key in and you'll be able to use a choice. I want to use Perplexity as my main AI, or I want to use Claude Sonnet 4.0. That's the way we're going to do it. So in the end, this API manager is going to have maybe 4 or 5 main choices for you or somebody to either go out and get and put in place, or the default ones will be included for the stuff that doesn't, exceed my profit margin. Like $30 a month, Google Veo videos, you could spend $50 a month for one person to make videos. Obviously, I can't have a negative profit on one user that takes the whole system down. Hopefully that answers your question. Yes. Okay, so these I already answered. All right, so let me just run through the rest of these and let you guys get on with your weekend. MinuteLaunch Data Extractor for Gmail. This is a tool that, because I have connected Fernando to my Gmail system, to my calendar, to my Calendly, to just about everything that I use, he has complete knowledge and ability to do everything. Jack does even more. I don't want to say exactly, but Jack's got his thing in his finances. He's got his thing into his WhatsApp. So it can understand what I like to do, what I am doing, what I need to do. And there's a level of trust in there. This is a version of this that's a little more controllable. This is a way for somebody who, most people do have Gmail at the heart of their email, to tell the tool in WordPress, go out and find a clump of data, store it securely about things that I've said or done or emailed to people. And in so doing, you can use that for responding, creating new stuff, or otherwise knowing what's happening. Like, how am I doing on sales? Because it can go into Gmail and see all your orders or stuff from outside of other tools that would have otherwise been in WordPress. Okay. Group voting is inspired by John a couple weeks ago. That's the thing we're going to use here on MinuteLaunch that's going to allow you guys to submit when you're in the club. You can submit your ideas, what you want to have made, because these one-off applications are going to be super automated to create. I'm going to have a tool in there. You just tell it what to make. It'll have all the ingredients. It'll have all the appliances. You can either tell it or select which things you think it should have, and it will make the code a single file, and it'll be available for you for free as part of being the club member. But the group voting is essentially the tool that we're going to use. And I think I've shown you this before. So let me see if I got it here. Group vote. Maybe I do. Right. So this was inspired by John. This is just like a super lightweight MCP enabled tool that people can vote on and move stuff up the chain, and they can submit ideas. I've got an idea, Spence. Super brilliant idea. Okay. So you can submit the idea with links or pictures or whatever else that I'll make this do. And then it'll show it in there for everybody. And then it can be filtered, right? Like only show my ideas, show the new ideas, show the ones planned progress. This is a plugin that I use on launch flows that it's a gigantic plugin. Like for this one feature, this is a single WordPress file. It's like 800 lines long, MCP enabled. Allows the tool inside or outside to know exactly what's going on. You could have your Fernando submit the ideas or keep track of the ideas. Ken asks, hi, Ken. Okay, this is the thing that's important. Ken asked the $64,000 question. Here's the pricing model, which is so awesome. I'm going to go into my interface here because apparently I'm locked out directly from my own site. Hey, I'm playing with the big boys. So here, let's go to WP Launch 5. If we were to go into the shop at the moment for today, now, Ken, I'm doing this as a club. Instead of 30 a month or 300 a year, the club is for you or anyone else who wants to get on this thing. You will get fully hosted, the MinuteLaunch AI system, like I'm using and showing you here, with all of the 22 components I've built here included, and probably more. Just like if you bought a phone, it has the calculator and the camera and all the stuff. And that is stay as long as you like, leave whenever you want. It works as a system though. So if you stopped using it, it will not break. It will continue to exist. All of the data, this is a huge deal to me. All of the data is stored in regular post types in WordPress. So for example, like I just showed you the media library. If I showed you the video with the flows, right? So MinuteLaunch flow, okay. All of these videos are stored in WordPress. You don't lose them. I don't do a Syed Balki and cut you off and extort money from you. Sorry, I'm going to keep referring to him until he changes his ways. He won't. So $30 a month, no extra cost. That is for most of the clients, the client thing. Why? Because what I'm saying is, imagine a situation where you go with the main thing I offer. The main thing I offer is the full MinuteLaunch itself. The difference is very simple. MinuteLaunch Startup, $97 a month, is the same as MinuteLaunch AI as far as hosting. It's a Rocket account, private. But the startup has unlimited email support from me, and it has the full software bundle. There's like $6,000+ of software for running WordPress. So for most of you, what I say is if you have a business and you want clients, here's how it goes. Either you could just get the MinuteLaunch itself and you'll get MinuteLaunch AI all built into it. Or for now, just join the club, because the club is not the final product. I need you and everybody else in this interactive environment to make it better and awesome. So the club is like coming to Spence's backyard, getting all of his new toys and drink bourbon and have hot dogs for a year. And you get to vote on Spence making new cool stuff that you want without me having to charge you $5,000 to do it. So the club is like an early adopters group. But ultimately, the MinuteLaunch AI retail price, $30 a month, $300 a year, so that you, like you do for MinuteLaunch, could get a referral fee by putting all of your clients and customers. Now, what do they get out of it? Well, imagine for $30 a month or $300 a year, they get a private box in the sky with mobile interface that does everything they ever dreamed of, securely, privately, interacting with the AI, doing these tools, making the fun images stuff, like all of this stuff, just like the original iPhone. And you get to white label it. You get to give it to them. You get to build stuff custom on top of it. They get a better experience when they've got their own device. Now, could they still use your service on your $97 a month and just be a user of the site? Absolutely. But then they wouldn't get the ability to have all their private stuff. And here's what they're thinking. Why would I want to upload all my pictures of myself and turn me into, pickleball man or whatever on Ken Lyle's site? I want that in my own box because I want to go out and I don't want to show it here, but like I went on a date with my longtime girlfriend and we had a lot of fun, PG, but like turning us into cheerleaders or going on a trip together. Like you can do crazy fun stuff within the limits of Google's PG system. I don't want that floating around the internet on Ken's site. I want that on my box, and I want to be able to selectively use that or share that with Ken. Okay. Hopefully that answers it. The final system ultimately is this. It's $30 a month for the regular MinuteLaunch AI. Doesn't have the software bundle, doesn't have Spence. $97 a month if you need the full software bundle and direct email with Spence. And then you've got custom support, like the VIP stuff, which many people have been doing. $300 an hour or $5,000 for a ready-to-go system. The $5,000 is blowing me out of the water because the stuff I've been able to build with AI for people is like, several of you might be here who are doing that. But I'm able to do stuff for $5,000 that quite literally was $125,000 to $250,000 of work, because the same tools I have available to me to make stuff instantly that used to take weeks or months of manual labor. Correct. See, Lloyd and I have had a lot of conversations. What I'm saying is this is the way to show your clients how to go to the future without them being attracted to one of these infinite vibe coding platforms or trying WordPress themselves and being confused as all hell. Like, well, how does this all work? There's 800 trillion things to figure out here. The reason the iPhone worked, believe me, and you're also, Lloyd is also a Gen Xer, is it was skeuomorphic. The original iPhone, okay, original iPhone interface. Let me show you this picture and bring you on a trip of like why things have gone sideways. I'm going to put a big image up. Maybe this is it. No, let's do this one. Okay. The original iPhone interface. Come on, give me a big picture. There we go. This succeeded because it was simple, skeuomorphic. Look, messages. Look, calendar. Look, photos. Look, camera. Look, YouTube videos. Look, maps. Look, weather. Look, calculator. Can we all agree that, yes, it's cool that our teenagers can do triple finger swipe and some people want to learn how to talk in Python, but you know what your customers want? They want an iPhone 1-like experience from you for things that go for your business or beyond your business. Like, for example, many of you are providing services as consultants, health, wellness, fitness, and so forth. That's awesome. Don't you think that they want to take pictures of their progress, of their own bodies, of their feet, or their medical records, or of conversations, or reminders of things to do, or what medicines they took, or when they took it? Wouldn't it be cool if you gave them a tool that did all that? And by the way, while they're out to dinner, they could take pictures of themselves and their kids and have a lot of fun turning them into different scenes, or make fun videos that they send to their friends. Or like one of the tools that I thought was just fabulous from Anne. I'm going to show Anne's site. She's just getting set up, but we did this on Anne's site because this one blew me away. This is a perfect marketing opportunity, and I'm going to be making this as a product, but I just wanted to show you this too. So media, look at this thing I made. I just made a prompt. And by the way, let's do provenance here. I used the image search tool. I came up with a tool of nutritional food because Anne's a nutritionist. Then I said, make a picture of a nutrition lady. You can see what I said. Being held by a really smart lady in a white vest, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Then I said, make another camera angle of her. And then I said, why don't you make a cool 6-panel cartoon that shows like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now imagine you're making coursework. Imagine you're doing training. Imagine you're doing consulting. And you can do this that gets automatically created and emailed with the picture of your client in it, or a cartoon of your client, and the things you want to teach them specifically. Don't you think they'd be more interested and have more fun with that? Here's another client of mine, Alyssa, and we were like, show her in a classroom of 60-year-old women with arthritis in their knees. Okay. Don't you think that they would be more interested in that kind of fun and marketing, as well as being able to do that for their holiday cards for birthdays? And then they own all the data. and it works mobile. So it works on their phone, their Android, whatever. That's the point. I think you guys get it. Okay. I'm gonna just wrap it up. Changelog Tracker I talked about. That's a tool I'm building so that if you have other software in there from WordPress from the old world, it will be able to tell you like, hey man, that stuff needs updating. Plugin Tester is the tool that's going to make it easier for all of you guys to not have to think about how I used Fernando here to make stuff. It's just going to basically give you prompting tips and compilation tips, and it will automatically from your desktop or from WordPress create new applications choosing from the ingredients that we've got inside the MinuteLaunch operating system. Idea Manager was inspired by Fred Jones and Marie, who both needed a way to keep track of ideas like a Kanban board, but why make it so hard? Why not? I think I've got that here. Why not just do like super lightweight, easy? Let me see if I called it idea board. I forgot where I put some of these things, so forgive me. Let's see if I get lucky. Nope. Maybe it's called Business Process Manager. Yeah. So this is one version of it. The one I made for Marie was actually more attractive, but it's just so simple to make stuff now. Guitar tabs is something I'm building for myself. I play in a band and we're constantly arguing over which chords and which timing. This will take any songs that you can find from the internet, get the music, the tablature, the lyrics, put it on the screen, create libraries. Horoscope was for another client of mine, Deneen, who runs a modern new age bookshop, and she has a lot of astrology clients. So this is just a fun example of stuff. There's plenty more. Okay, let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for your attention and your great questions today. For those of you who are interested, by the way, just to be clear, I am going to just show you one more time. You can get in the club. You should run. Oh, I think I have to go here though. Hold on. Oh, I can get to it through, I guess it just doesn't like my homepage for some reason. You go to wplaunchify.com, pricing shop, MinuteLaunch AI. Even though this doesn't say the club, this is the discounted price of what will be $300 a year. But this is not the final product per se for you guys. This is the club. I put the link in here. The $250 is going to give you these special things. Ability to vote on what you want to have made and probably have it made. My AI is going to be building every day and making videos automatically. Second of all, it gets you all of this stuff now instead of when it's done. And ultimately, it probably does provide a better channel of communication because you can email me anytime about any of your ideas. So this is the precursor to what will be the MinuteLaunch AI final release. And this doesn't have any referral because it's designed for you as the end user, but it's a great value. It's a whole year for $250 plus all this stuff hosted. Come on, join me. I want to thank all of you guys. I love you all. This is the beginning of what I think is going to be really revolutionary for me and what I call my third chapter of life. I've been building up to this, not realizing where it was going, but now I'm very clear. This is what I want to spend the rest of my life doing, helping human beings. I think we're all moving into an era where this kind of thing can be amazing for us when applied with the right mindset of really just loving everybody as your neighbor, treating them like the golden rule. That's all it takes. It's not about philosophy, religion, spirituality. It's about just treat human beings like we've got infinite capability to help each other. And this is my way of doing it. And I can hold a flag up, a sign up to those people who act badly because I'm in a position where nobody can take anything from me anymore. I've already been through all that drama. I am really excited to help all of you. And I hope you're excited to join me because many of you have realized that life is just crazy, but this is like a dream come true if it's applied properly. And I hope you will feel the same way when you come on board. See you next week. Bye.